Welcome to the Archive Network. I'm Aurelius, and with me as always Malik. We curate the Lineage archive. Today we open a new file, Fatimid Dynasty. Malik, you've had this one on your desk for a while. The story of the Fatimid Dynasty begins in the shadows, where a fugitive imam found refuge. Picture secret oaths whispered in remote mountain villages, all while the ominous shadow of Baghdad loomed large. This was no age of stability. It was a time of fractured empires, each one vulnerable, each one ripe for revolution. We often forget that in such chaotic moments, power shifts like sand. Alliances can form and dissolve, in an instant, shaping destinies we can't even begin to predict.
But let's not forget the human cost of this upheaval. Revolutions spring from desperation, not just ambition. The Fatimid story goes beyond a family's thirst for power. It's about the countless individuals who lived through the uncertainty, the fears, and the violence of that time. Think about the families torn apart and the communities left in chaos. Their struggles and resilience remind us that history isn't just about rulers or battles. It's about the everyday lives caught in the crossfire.
You raise a valid point, but we have to remember that the Fatimid rise was incredibly strategic. They didn't just stumble into power. They capitalized on the Abbasid rulers' weaknesses in Kairouan. These rulers were stuck, trying to balance their loyalty to the Abbasids with their own local authority. This precariousness created a perfect environment for the Fatimids to exploit. They understood the landscape well, and they seized the moment. Ambition thrives in such chaos.
Strategic, yes, but also opportunistic. The Aghlabids found themselves caught between competing loyalties, torn in multiple directions. Their downfall wasn't something that had to happen. The Fatimids were playing a dangerous game, stirring up discontent among the tribes. They weren't just after power. They were tapping into the real grievances people had, the struggles of everyday life. It's heartbreaking to think how these decisions affected families and communities, all caught in the crossfire of ambition and conflict.
Abdullah al-Mahdi Billah was at the heart of this movement. Born in Salamiyah in 873, he was far more than just a preacher. His distinguished lineage provided him with a claim to rule that was both powerful and perilous. The Ismaili Dawah operated in secrecy, weaving a complex network among those who were discontented. They tapped into the frustrations of the people, skillfully laying the groundwork for what would become a formidable challenge to established power.
That secrecy came at a heavy price. Abdullah wasn't just a leader. He was a fugitive, always looking over his shoulder. The hidden nature of their operations meant constant danger for him and his people. The stakes were sky high, and betrayal was never far away. This wasn't merely about lineage. It was about survival. Every choice had real consequences, affecting lives in ways most people couldn't imagine. It was a burden he carried with him every day.
Yet, that very secrecy allowed alliances to form in unexpected ways. The Kutama tribes, long discontent with their Sunni rulers, became crucial to the cause. They didn't just offer sanctuary. They provided seasoned fighters who knew the terrain. Abdullah recognized this opportunity. He understood the power of local grievances and the potential they held for building a movement. In times of unrest, it's often the discontented who become the most valuable allies.
But it was more than just strategic alliances. The Fatimid movement offered something deeper, a real sense of belonging and purpose. The Kutama didn't simply join a rebellion. They stepped into a vision that promised change. They saw a chance to reshape their lives and their community. That's the heart of revolution, the hope for a new order, where their voices mattered and their struggles were recognized. It was about more than power. It was about people finding their place.
By the year 909, Abdullah had the audacity to declare himself caliph in Raqqada. This was no small feat, challenging centuries of Sunni dominance. It sent ripples through the fabric of the empire. Coins were minted with Shia inscriptions, a clear signal that change was brewing. As these new identities took shape, we saw the early foundations of the Fatimid Dynasty being laid. This was more than a political move. It was a bold reimagining of power itself.
But revolutions rarely unfold smoothly. The rise of the Fatimids was riddled with betrayal and bloodshed, a harsh reality that touched countless lives. Those coins you mentioned weren't just currency. They were powerful symbols of identity for people caught in the turmoil. Each new regime inevitably faces resistance, and the Fatimids had their share of opponents who fought fiercely for their beliefs. It's a reminder that history isn't just about leaders. It's also about the struggles of ordinary folks trying to find their place.
The city of Mahdia emerged as a formidable stronghold for the new regime. Walls rose thick and unadorned, designed not just to guard against external threats, but also to contain the simmering internal strife. Within the court, we saw a peculiar mix of Berber chieftains and Ismaili loyalists, their shifting loyalties reflecting the chaos around them. Alliances formed and fractured almost daily, reminding us how power can be as fleeting as the wind. Such is the nature of ambition.
But that shifting loyalty is a double-edged sword. Sure, the Fatimids gained power, but in doing so, they also sowed the seeds of their own discontent. The way they distributed land and titles created real resentment among those who felt overlooked. You had families torn apart and communities divided. That fragile balance of power would come back to haunt them, leading to conflicts that impacted everyday lives for generations. It really makes you think about the human cost behind those grand ambitions.
The Fatimid story is one of ambition, no doubt about it. They began on the fringes, fueled by an unshakable faith and tempered by the harsh realities they faced. Their sights were set well beyond North Africa. Egypt was calling, a land ripe for conquest and opportunity. We can almost feel the excitement as they prepared to write the next chapter of their saga. This was just the beginning of their transformation into a formidable power.
That's where we leave it for now. Part 1 of 5. Fatimid Dynasty is far from done. If you're new here, we're Aurelius and Malik, curators of the Lineage archive, part of the archive network. Part 2 drops soon.